Hello, I'm Regina Lay, the senior news editor of Puma Podcast, and you're listening to Teka Teka News, balitang thinking, hindi breaking. In this episode,
Kasi napasok rin ako sa jail before and I saw na mas nagiging worse ang mga nahuhuling mga bata nagiging mga runners, nagiging later on drug lords sa loob ng selda.
the actor Baron Geisler talks about why he has written to Senate to appeal for the segregation of drug addicts in jail. People could be forgiven for confusing Baron with his character Rustin in the hit Netflix movie Dollhouse. In the film, Rustin is a drug addict trying to reconnect with his young daughter after years of neglect. Well, here's Baron talking about his own life on the One News show Agenda.
If there's one moment in this movie, there's a scene where I wanted to reconnect with my daughter. I think there's truth to that, but I will not disclose na lang. That's why I could really identify with the character of Rustin. Back in 2016, I was gonna meet my daughter, but because of me choosing the bottle over her, the mother told me that I could never see her again.
The actor's addiction with drugs and alcohol has been tabloid fodder for years. In fact, he was once quoted as saying, "No acting was needed for Dollhouse because the story hit so close to home." And now that he's back in the limelight, Baron says he's putting his rediscovered fame to good use, working to advocate for addicts.
Now, I get the chance to talk to drug addicts. Kasama po ako ng COSAP sa Cebu.
COSAP stands for Cebu City Office for Substance Abuse Prevention.
I'm letting them know that, yes, it's hard, but there's hope and there's a way out of this addiction. Only if we are willing enough to surrender and open our hearts and minds to recovery. Kasi ang bansa naman natin, pinagbibigyan tayo Meron silang programs for people na mga nahuli. May mga vocation courses silang binibigay, a 6-month course, para yung mga nahuling addicts pwedeng maging part ng society eventually. So, me and my lawyer drafted a citizen's request to send sana to the Senate and Congress. Buti nilang nag-guest ako kay Mariel. So, pinasa ko tong sulat na to na ibigay sana kay Senator Robin Padilla para i-segregate po ang mga addicts. Kasi nung time ni President Duterte, gumawa ng maraming cells or structures, parang drug rehabilitation centers na pwedeng gamitin.
President Bongbong Marcos has taken a softer approach to the so-called war on drugs, and now rehabilitation is back on the agenda. The DILG recently rolled out a new anti-drug program called BIDA, or Buhay Ingatan, Drogay Ayawan. This aims to shift the focus back to drug demand reduction and rehabilitation within the communities. No more weaponizing local governments. No more drug lists. Under Marcos, there's also talk of, quote-unquote, an approach that will work within the framework of the law and with respect for human rights. Basically, words that we never heard under former President Duterte. Carlos Conde of Human Rights Watch says this development is very much welcome, except...
Siyempre maganda yan, na ang sinasabi ng DILG na maging mas makatao, rights respecting yung drug war ng gobyerno, we welcome all of that. Ang problema lang namin dito, para kasing sinasantabi na nila yung issue ng accountability. Na in going forward, sige, drug rehab tayo, makataong pamamaraan, pero hindi pinag-uusapan yung accountability, which is to us isang napakalaking issue kasi libo-libo ang napatay sa drug war ni Duterte at even under Marcos hanggang ngayon na hindi nabibigyan ng hustisya at walang accountability.
The other issue that's been flagged about BIDA is that apparently the Department of Health is not part of the core group. There's the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency, of course, the Dangerous Drugs Board, the LGUs, but no health experts on the panel. And that's what advocates have been saying all along. Addiction is a public health issue, not a criminal justice one. Here's Cristina Conti of the National Union of People's Lawyers on what they've found to be the top reasons for illegal drug use in the country. She was interviewed on One News's show, The Chiefs.
Top reason would be yung energy. It gives you an energy boost. So it's either economic or it's related to perhaps to studies. So economic, kasi taxi driver ka o kaya truck driver and you have to be awake for so long. Estudyante, you want to be awake for so long. Or also on the other hand, because for fun or may opportunity lang, peer pressure. Then there's family, failure of the family to supervise, or perhaps the family is involved, among other things. So we need to really see what's the problem. Why do people, one, use drugs, and second, why do they get addicted?
Which brings us back to why Baron Geisler is petitioning Congress to allow for the segregation of addicts.
Kasi napasok rin ako sa jail before and I saw na mas nagiging worse ang mga nahuhuling mga bata nagiging mga runners, nagiging later on drug lords sa loob ng selda. So if we take them out or segregate them and give them a right program for them to heal and recover, then baka matulungan natin itong mga taong to. Sayang kasi buhay.
Somewhat ironically, Duterte's right-hand man, Senator Bongo, is now the principal sponsor of Senate Bill 428, which aims to establish a drug abuse treatment and rehabilitation center in every province nationwide. This actually goes beyond rehab and incorporates social reintegration efforts too, to help offenders readjust to community life upon their release. Because as Baron himself has found, battling a disease is hard, but there is a way forward.
You know, this is really a very sensitive topic for me because I do have a mental problem because addiction is a chronic relapsing brain disease. So many people don't know that addicts, it's like no different from, say, cancer. You cannot cure the addiction, but you can maintain and manage the addiction.
And that was today's episode of Teka Teka. Again, I'm Regina Lay, the senior news editor of Teka Teka. This episode was edited by Mark Casillan and produced by Kat Ventura. If you like this episode, please do share it with a friend or two. And of course, don't forget to follow Teka Teka and Kumo Podcast wherever you listen. Thanks for listening.